and thanks for giving us the opportunity to present to you here on stage. Marco, as you said, it's your 10th anniversary, and it's quite interesting because at Porsche we are also celebrating a very important anniversary for us. Actually, it's 70 years since the first Porsche to have the name Porsche was being built. You see it on the screen on the left-hand side. It's the beautiful Porsche 356 #1. And as always, when you have an anniversary, I'm sure you're no exception to that, you do a lot of celebration, but you also do a little bit of soul searching. So for today, I want to have a look a little bit in the future, the next 70 years, hopefully even more years for Porsche, and what that means from us from a brand perspective. I think what I do not have to tell you is that, especially now in the automotive field, things are changing at a pace that is unprecedented. So many things have been happening in the last 4 to 5 years, and there's every reason to believe that this change, this process will even be accelerated in the future. So for us at Porsche, the question is, as for many brands, in this environment of constant change, what does remain? What is the element of stability? And I think it's fair to argue that brands should or could provide that element of stability. And this is why today I want to take a little bit a trip back in the past and think a little bit how brands all started and what their role in the future can be. Well, you might know the term brands actually has to do with the literal act of branding. So taking your livestock, your cattle, and putting your name on it. And that's interesting because it shows that branding really started as a sign of ownership, if you like, also as a sign of quality. Now, thanks to people like me, marketers, it didn't stay that way, as we all know. So brands evolved in the next centuries and decades. And there's one stage that I find particularly interesting because at one stage, brands even transcended physicality. Brands became ideas in the minds of our consumers. And you see an example here behind me. I don't think I have to single out the brand. You will understand it immediately, although the brand is practically not physically present on that chart. So those were the days, but then in 2007, something else happened. And again, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about because the iPhone came to the market, smartphones entered our living sphere, and all of a sudden, the role of brands changed again. Because from that moment, brands literally became something that people carried with them in their pockets, in their palms, at their fingertips. And so brands evolved from this idea space more to an experience that you had to deliver at any moment, because anytime your consumer, your user is interacting with you, you have to deliver on that brand promise. And the way that brands reacted to this, I think, is quite interesting, because you have to be a brand that's building up an ecosystem. And of course, as Porsche, we have responded to that change as well. Behind me, you can see how the Porsche ecosystem graphically will look like in the future. So in the center, of course, we do have a customer, a consumer, a user, uniquely identifiable. And around that, we have many services that transcend our core business, selling beautiful, fast cars. They comprise parking services, charging services, invitation to events, connectivity. All of this area needs to be part of how you present yourself as a brand to future consumers. Let me be a little bit more precise about that, because at Porsche, we're in a very interesting stage. Next year, we will be presenting the first fully electric Porsche to the market. What you can see behind me is the concept car called Michelin. The series vehicle will be called Taycan. And of course, at Porsche, we are embracing that electrifying future, because we think there are a lot of electric vehicles in the market, but there's not a real electric sports car yet. And this is, in our point of view, the one thing that we want to deliver. But as I said, it doesn't stop with the car, because around the car, we will have to deliver intelligent charging solutions. Now, we know that a lot, or the majority of the charging situations will take place at the customer's home. But still, our customers will have the need to travel long distances with their electric vehicle. So we want to help them to do that in the most easy and frictionless way. And this is something we're approaching on 2 levels. First of all, together with our friends from Mercedes, BMW, Ford, and other Volkswagen brands, we're building up an infrastructure of charging points across highways in Europe. So when you do long-distance traveling, you don't have to worry, where is the next charging point? You can be instinctively relying on something being right in proximity to you. So On a very concrete level, that means 40 sites in the UK up to 2020. But being Porsche, it's also not about being ubiquitous, about being there for charging, it's also about speed. So the Taycan will also be the first series vehicle with a 800-volt infrastructure, which will dramatically decrease charging times. And that means very practical that in about 4 minutes you can get 100 kilometers additional range. So you can see traveling long distances will be nothing you have to worry about in this electrifying future. And a second example, talking about ecosystems, is actually a pilot that we did here in London. So maybe one or two of you have experienced it by yourself. So we partnered with our friends from Get to deliver a really premium ride-hailing service together with them. So through the Get app, you could actually also book Porsche vehicles. We had a fleet of 100 cars, and of course, not only the cars, but also an experience inside the car that was very premium-like. And in the time frame from November 17 to May 18, we delivered 39K rides. So got a lot of new friends for Porsche, hopefully, but very crucially, it also taught us a lot about how to integrate into infrastructure for urban mobility in the future. So these are just 2 examples how we embrace this future. And I think at the end, what brands will have to learn is that our customers, our consumers will look at brands in the same way that they look at relationships. And I mean that twofold. And you can take the comparison to relationships in your personal area as well. First of all, there needs to be a level of relevance. So you have to deliver on something that is really of use for your consumer. And as you can see, with the ecosystem that we're building up, we're really aiming to do that even more for our consumers in the future. But the second level, and again, I think the parallels to your personal relationships apply, I think we foster and we cherish those relationships where we get emotional benefit from. And as much as has changed in this world of brands over the last couple of decades, I think the one thing that will always remain crucial to brands is the fact how we can emotionally engage with our consumers. And I think that's the one role that's not about to change for the future of brands. Now, I wouldn't be working in marketing if I hadn't brought a film with me. So let's have a quick look at how Porsche is embracing that emotional future with the Taycan.
It's like the wind, some say, or gravity. You can't see it, but you know it's there. You can't find its button on the dash, or its chapter in the owner's manual. We have no drawings of it. We don't know how much it weighs. Can't time it on the track. Ask 10 of our engineers about it and get 10 different answers. But there's no debate about its existence. After just 1 day behind the wheel, it's the most valuable part of the car. The irreplaceable component. The thing you love more and more with every passing mile. The thing you instantly miss in any other car. The soul. For reasons mysterious and many, every Porsche ever built has one, and always will. The new Porsche Taycan. Soul electrified.
So I do hope you liked that little outlook into the future of Porsche, a future that I think will be characterized by 2 elements. Of course, we'll be electrifying the cars on the road, but we'll also hopefully continue to electrify the hearts and minds of our consumers. Thanks for listening to me, and I wish you a very nice conference.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Looks like we can still trust in German engineering.
We do our best, so
Thank you so much.